It's Ingrid and Lesley week, and as part of our special week long of bonus episodes, we are delving into parts of our lives outside of the Declutter Hub that you might not know about. Today, we are talking to the people we trust most while we mostly sit on our backsides talking about decluttering all day long, and they are out there doing the doing. Today, we're talking to the Clutter Fairy and Organise Your House teams about their love of decluttering, their day-to-day work, and of course, whether they learned anything new from their bosses in our brand new book.
You're listening to the Declutter Hub podcast, bringing you tried and tested, no-nonsense tips and advice from the leading experts in decluttering and organising your home. Now here are your hosts, Ingrid Jansen and Lesley Spellman.
Hello and welcome listeners, I'm Ingrid.
And I'm Lesley.
If you're new to the Declutter Hub podcast, you're so welcome. What you'll find is that we try and find a fun factor in the serious business of decluttering. And if you've been here for a while, you know exactly what we mean. So thank you so much for listening.
If you'd like to get involved in conversations relating to this podcast, it all takes place in our Facebook group. So come and join our lovely, warm, supportive community. To find the Facebook group, go to declutterhub.com/group to find out more. Or you can search for the Declutter Hub community on Facebook. Hello, everybody. I am so delighted to welcome you to this special bonus episode. And today I am delighted to get started with my lovely Katie, head honcho at the Clutter Fairy. And she's going to explain everything that we do at Clutter Fairy and Life Admin. And then we're going to chat a little bit about the book. The way that it's going to work is that we're going to cycle through the Clutter Fairies and Organise Your House in this podcast and just ask them really to pick out things after reading our lovely brand new book that resonated most with them, because they're out there doing the day job all day. Now, Katie is a little bit different. She does do the doing and she has done much doing in the past, but now she manages the team for me so that I can do the Declutter Hub. So I am eternally grateful for her because she runs a tight ship and we have a wonderful, wonderful team of wonderful women that you're all going to meet. So Katie, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Lesley, and everyone watching.
I know, exactly. So Katie, tell us a little bit about your evolution with the Clutter Fairy.
So it is my 10-year anniversary next month, which is very exciting. So very nicely placed with the book launch as well. And I started off as a typical clutter fairy going out and helping people in their homes. And I did that for a good sort of 5 or 6 years before I started to take over aspects of running the business for you, which I'm really proud to be a part of. I still do have my odd own client as well, but I now take care of our team of 6 who are all over the Northwest looking after all of our fabulous clients. So if you were to ring the number on the website, you're going to get through to me. I will help with the terms and conditions. I will help with feedback. I will help with invoicing the payments, all the really exciting stuff, whilst the team are out there grafting, taking care of our clients. So I'm first point of contact, but I'm also, and I always say this to everybody, I'm there to support our clients and our team ongoing throughout the process. I do miss doing a lot more of the face-to-face stuff because I think we all absolutely adore working with clients. It's just a fantastic job to do. But I really love being a big part of moving things forward for everybody and speaking to all the fantastic clients. It's fabulous. I love it.
I think, it's an interesting one and it sounds like a really administrative job, and it is absolutely. But I think it's a nice part of the job because you're the person who, when that person is feeling their most vulnerable and picks the phone up to you for the first time, it's a big deal for a lot of people to call a professional organizer into their home. You're the one that goes, it's okay, we've got you here, it's all fine. Do you know what I mean? And puts their mind at rest. And I think those initial conversations, and obviously they used to be with me, now they're with you most of the time, are the thing that make people go, I've done the right thing by asking for help, because it's a huge deal. And so let's not underplay that. Yes, you do invoicing and all the boring stuff, but I think putting that person's mind at rest and taking them through and assigning them to the right clutter fairy and all that kind of stuff is so important. And it's why our team luckily has grown so much over the past few years, mostly down to you, because I've been burying my head in the Declutter Hub, and Katie does more than she's saying at this moment. She runs the whole team. So Katie, Obviously, what I've done is I've given an advanced copy of our lovely Reset Your Home book to all my clutter fairies. And so we're really interested today for you. It's not just to go into the book, but what resonates most with you. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff the kind of things that we do at the Clutter Fairy, the kinds of things that we do. We teach our clients all day long. What part of the book jumped out as the most resonant for you?
It's an interesting one, actually, because you've got me as first up, but it's actually the latter half of the book that really, really resonated with me. One of the things I find really interesting about this process is these projects, when somebody's talking about decluttering their whole home, it's really exciting. Obviously, people are very nervous about it, and it's a big project. It can take time, and it's really important, obviously, to move through the process in the right way for them. But what is almost somehow more important, I think, for me, is making sure that people realize at the end of the process that there is still ongoing maintenance, and it's those daily habits and those non-negotiables and those mini resets, those little resets throughout the day and the week and the month. And also just thinking about how our lives change, the way we run our lives change, which means in turn our home will change and new stuff will come through the door as a consequence, or just generally anyway. And so keeping the clutter at bay and having that focus past the full big reset, as we talk about, is so, so important to make sure that all that hard work that's been put in and all those wonderful things that have been achieved can be sustained in the long term.
It's almost a completely different part of the process, really.
Yeah.
The kind of, we talk a lot right back in episode 2, I think it was our second episode of the podcast. We talk about the difference between decluttering, organizing, tidying, and cleaning, and the kinds of things that you're talking about and that we talk about in that chapter of the book is definitely about the kind of tidying and cleaning and reset side of things, because it's so vital, as you say, because it doesn't stop there with the decluttering and organizing. This is an endless cycle that you need to kind of work through and continue to kind of work at. And I think, so I think it's important when people are working on their own, people within the Declutter Hub that are trying to go it alone. I think it's also important for people who use a professional organizer in their homes to try as hard as they can to keep the clutter at bay, but also to realize that it's okay if something goes awry to call help back in. And it's never as bad, is it, Katie? Never as bad as it was first time.
Absolutely not. We've got clients that we've worked with for the whole sort of 15 years that the business has been going. We might only see them once every few years, but it might be like you say, they've just had a difficult time, or they've had a change of circumstance. A new person's entered the home, or one of the family members has left and they need to change a room's purpose. So absolutely, yeah, we love hearing from clients who've worked with in the past, because to your point, if we've done a full reset with them, or they've done a full reset themselves, they will always find that secondary reset or that new reset that they need that much easier. But it's about being aware of that when it's needed. I think that's really key as well, as being focused on not just I've done the full reset, we're done, but if something starts to go awry, that they just use their decluttering muscle, their tips, the tricks that they've already learned, or our help if they need face to face to get that reset done.
So, so important. So thank you so much, Katie, for sharing that. And now before we go, and I'm landing this on you because I never told you that we were going to talk about this.
Okay.
What's it like working with me?
I love it. Absolutely love it.
I thought it could have gone either way.
We joke about. I had I came from a completely different world. I did 15 years in banking, and I did I loved it, wonderful time. And when I got made redundant, or took redundancy, actually, I did the thing that everyone said. They said, do what you love and it won't feel like work. So I Googled, and at the time, our industry still is unknown to a lot of people, but it was much less known pre, 2000s, wasn't it? So when I contacted you, I think I remember exact wording I used, but I just remember saying, I love the business, I love the idea of it. I've always really looked up to you, and I've absolutely always loved working with you. I love the fact that you take such good care of us, you trust us, you've given us such a good grounding to be fantastic clutter fairies and to carry that forward. I love it. I do love it. I can't, yeah. We do this. What do we say? As soon as you stop loving this job, you have to stop doing it, and that's why I'm still here, because I love it.
Exactly. And I think the good thing, the important thing for me, and it's the same with Ingrid and I as well, and a lot of people know the relationship between Ingrid and I more than they know the relationship between you and I. But it's kind of similar because I'm kind of a little bit away with the fairies and coming up with ideas and going off on a tangent and things like that all the time. And both Katie and Ingrid are the people that keep me on, on
So
track and
we're a
make
good
sure
team.
that
Yeah,
we
we're a good
actually
team.
execute on all of the ideas. So it's important for me to have people that are much more grounded around me as well. So then, and it just works together. It really gels. And so, Katie, I'm eternally grateful for everything that you do for the Clutter Fairy team. You're going to hear from the rest of the Clutter Fairies in a moment. But for now, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on the book, Katie, and for being an incredible Clutter Fairy.
My pleasure.
Well, hello there. It is Lady Victoria. Do you want to tell people, Victoria, why you're actually called Lady Victoria before we get started?
It's just always been my nickname. I don't know why. I think some people thought I was posh, and then my husband, sorry, bought me a title, and then I got a private reg on my car that says Lady V, and then I'd go somewhere else and someone who didn't know I was called Lady V would say, "Oh, how's Lady Victoria?" So it just seemed everyone just called me that. I don't know, but I like it. And I have a piece of land in Scotland. It's probably about that big.
I know. Well, you're the only lady that I know, Lady Victoria. But as well as being Lady Victoria, you are one of my gorgeous clutter fairies. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast today to share your thoughts about A, being a clutter fairy, and B, the lovely book that we have just written. So tell us about where you work, Victoria, and how long you've been a clutter fairy.
I've been a Clutter Fairy for about 3.5 years, and I cover the Northwest and Liverpool.
Nice, nice. Yeah, you can see that. We can hear that little Liverpool sort of twang, although you're not quite in Liverpool, are you? She's and I know that's when you say that to somebody, she's like, it's not Liverpool. It kind of sounds like it to lots of other people, but yeah, you've definitely got that twang, but you're outside of Liverpool. So, Victoria, let's get down to business. The book, what did you think about it?
It was great. I loved the way it started off. You could start from the very beginning, and it was a proper plan of um, how you could declutter, go through where's best to start. And it was written in such a way so it was room by room. It was broken down so that you can actually, if you have to go away and do something else, or something else happens and you have to stop, then you can just go back to where you were and pick it up where you left off, really.
Yeah, I think that's the nice thing actually about doing it the way that we've done it, really, is that it is definitely all of the individual chapters are standalone, and even within each chapter, there are standalone sections that you can refer back to. So it'll be really easy to find. And then coupled with the index that we've got, you'll be able to go exactly back to that point. And so, yeah, it's really nice to be able to pick up and drop off because we don't do our whole houses in one go, do we?
Sugar time. It's a long process, and you've got to
Absolutely.
do it a certain way to make it work. Yeah, the piece that resonated with me quite a lot was the section about neurodiversity, because a lot of our clients have ADHD, and I'm quite hyperactive myself, so we have to allow for that and look at the client's personality to see what works best for them, because each client is different. And then obviously if your life gets derailed and things go, if you're a parent and you get unexpected things and that happen, then you can go back and you can pick the book up where you left off and start decluttering. Because otherwise, if you're not in the right frame of mind, you can make the wrong decisions.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I think you're so right. And I think that's where the clutter personalities comes in, I think, a little bit, is kind of we need a name sometimes, don't we, for the way that we're feeling, Victoria. And so we know that we have a sense that we're not doing decluttering quite right or managing our home quite right, and we need to feel some kind of validation. And I think there's a section in the book called what are your clutter personalities, and I think that gives people a bit of a name almost for what they feel that they are, or the kind of traits that they show in the decluttering world.
Yeah, and there's a lot of clients who feel overwhelmed and who break down in tears, and they're embarrassed because they're not running the home like they feel that they should. But they think they're the only people, but there's so many people. Otherwise, you wouldn't have this business. But there's so many people like that, and that's why there's TV programs, and you've got written a book for that market. It's just I love it when you're getting a system for somebody and making them happy and asking them what works for them, and then problem solving and pleasing the people. That makes me happy. That's why I love this job.
Yeah, because there's not a one size fits all. There's lots and lots of different ways, and different people are going to respond to different strategies and different ideas. Some people like to go fast and furious. Some people like to slow it down. Some people struggle with decisions. Some people find it easy. Some people are more emotional than others. And so there's different ways. And so in our job as Clutter Fairies, and certainly in the Declutter Hub and the work that we do here, you know, we have to think of different ways of doing things. So this book very much places people like you could do this or you could do that. So it's not a kind of prescriptive sort of you have to do it this way. That's not what we're about.
Yeah, because you don't want anyone to make the wrong decisions. So the book allows you to ask yourself, what personality are you? What's best for you? How will this work for you? So it's really good. Loved it.
Oh, thank you. Well, Victoria, Lady Victoria, I'm going to let you go now. But thank you so much for contributing to this podcast. No doubt we'll see you we're going out again in a couple of weeks. And Victoria is our social secretary for the Clutter Fairy. She's always the one with the games and the fun. So that'll be fun in a couple of weeks when we meet up. So thank you so much, Victoria. And we will see you soon.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Well, hello, Claire. Welcome to the podcast. And Claire is one of our newer Clutter Fairies, aren't you, Claire? New kid on the block.
I am, yes, I am. Less than 6 months, actually. Joined in October.
I know, I can't believe that. I mean, it's less than 4 months, really, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the thing is, when I talk to a potential Clutter Fairy for the first time, I kind of say, once you're on board, you might have to just hit the ground running a little bit because the work kind of keeps coming in. And that's definitely what's happened for you, isn't it, Claire?
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's been a fantastic journey. I've been meeting some great clients and yeah, lots of variety as well, which has been amazing. Yeah, I loved it.
I know, exactly. No, it is. We're so lucky to do the job that we do, to be fair. So
Yeah.
tell people where you work, Claire, and what your background is a little bit.
Yeah, so the area that I cover is Warrington, Merseyside, Liverpool, Cheshire, and some Greater Manchester as well. So I actually live in Warrington, so I'm quite a good point for the central for a lot of the areas that we cover, which is good. My background is quite varied, really. I actually have an art degree and had my own business for a couple of years as a designer, and then ended up in property, and that sort of led me overseas to Dubai, and then I ended up doing in-house recruitment there, and then came back to the UK and did a combination of in-house recruitment or sort of talent. And then property, and I've also worked in fundraising as well. But this was something that I'd looked at for quite a while. And then obviously just found you guys online and listened to your podcast for a while, and then just approached you and said, are you looking for anybody else? Because I'd love to join the team if possible. And yeah, kind of all gone from there, really.
Do you know the interesting thing about your background? Because a lot of people talk to us, a lot of potential professional organisers talk about, what skills do you need? And I've not had any training and all this kind of stuff. And there really isn't any training. Well, there is a little bit of training out there for professional organisers, but that's not going to be any good unless you're the right kind of person. And so it's all about those life skills that you've had, those moves overseas, kind of project management work you've done, but more than anything else, it's about your ability to interact with people. And so the people skills are there in the recruitment job and things like that you've done. So it is an absolutely wonderful job, and any professional organizer will wax lyrical all the time about how much they love it, because we can make such a big difference to people.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you've settled in, and you're doing a sterling job. Clients love you, which is the main thing. And so let's talk about the book, which you've read. So number one, this is where I kind of get worried. Like, did you like it?
Oh, I loved it. It was such an easy read. I just got straight into it. I just started reading those first few pages, and then it was just sort of, it was brilliant. It was really good. So yeah, you and Ingrid should be really proud of what you've done. And it's a fantastic book and a really good guide for anybody who's first time into decluttering and that whole journey side of things. And I think it's something that they can probably dip in and out of and refer back to at different times as well, and probably read a few different times. It's definitely a guide as well as just a full read. So yeah, people who are doing different rooms, they can come back to it and go through it. And then, we talk about the different phases and the different sifts of organising. So people can 100% come back again and go, I'm just going to revisit that room. Let's read that chapter again and go through that. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it very much depends. So the way that the book is split down, of course, if it's your if it's emotional difficulty, then you can refer back to the sort of what we call the thinking section, which is all about the emotions-based decluttering side of things. And then if it's like, well, I'm not quite sure what they said about how to actually organize this, then there's like the
Yeah.
doing section. And so I think
Yeah.
it's split down, but on purpose really into a really easy kind of thing that you can, as you say, pick up and drop off when you need to, because that's the way life works, Clay. Like, who can spend
Yeah.
2 weeks decluttering the house, back to back?
Yeah.
People can't, and it's better for you to be able to kind of dip in and out of it and do it when you're feeling as if you want to, really. So we just had to have a little break there, Claire, didn't we? Because you've got like a little snoring dog. Claire was like, I could see her face like going, oh gosh, and I was like, she's like, my dog's snoring. Can you hear my dog snoring? We've had a snoring dog removal, and now we're back into the podcast. So Claire, let's get back. What resonated most with you about the book?
I think it's the side of judgment. A lot of the clients that we deal with, one of the things that they face is fear of being judged. So when we go into people's homes, they'll often apologize, and that makes me feel really sad, because actually, there's usually a variety of reasons, whether that's a physical disability or neurodivergence, or it could be a multitude of different things, and it could just be a small blip in their life that they've just struggled with something. And for us to be able to come in and support them with that's really vital, because it can help them to be free of all of that and have that weight lifted. And after each session, we really start to notice that the whole persona is completely different. They just look a lot lighter. And so for people to feel judged, or, if people are sort of criticizing them, even having us around sometimes, well, can you not do it for yourself? Or, and that makes me feel so sad, because, people should be supported. And it's so much better if people can have support from families. But if people don't, then this book will really, really help them, because it will help to give them that guidance. And if people can't get somebody to support them within their own network, obviously we help people directly as well. And so, yeah, it's that whole judgment side of thing for me that really resonates, because it can be very difficult for people to even start the process.
I think there's a section of the book where we delve into people's clutter personalities, really. And so we kind of highlighted 5 different personalities that we think people have. And of course, there's a massive crossover in some of them as well. But I think that there's a validation required from people, and we've seen this in our work for many, many years. People need to see themselves in, it written down, like, it's okay, other people feel like this as well, and this is a common thing. Because I think, because of the way clutter is, and it's a little bit secretive, it's not something that people share quite often. And so you can be forgiven for thinking that you're the only one. So part of what we wanted to get across in the book, in our work, in the membership, whatever it is that we're doing, is you're not alone. And actually having like-minded people around you is really freeing and empowering as well.
Yeah, and being part of that, like you said, having a name for your personality type will just make you feel so much more relieved that actually there are other people, and there are other people who are thinking the same way. And yeah, 100%, it will make people feel less guilty about what's happening. And there should be no guilt, there should be no judgment around the situation. And so, yeah, I think it's brilliant.
Oh, well, thank you, Claire. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you so much for joining the wonderful Clutter Fairy team.
Thank you.
You're a brilliant addition, and I'm really glad that you're around. And thank you for coming on to the podcast today.
Thank you, Lesley.
So here we are with the lovely Bev. How are you, Bev, today?
I'm very good. Very good. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for being on our podcast, and you've taken time out of your busy schedule, because Bev has kind of tailed down a little bit on her Clutter Fairy work this last couple of months, because she's been moving house. And so, yeah, are you still alive after that process, Bev?
It's been very busy. It has been a bit of, what do you call it, a personal journey of decluttering again. We are finally in. We've been in 5 days, that's all. So it's literally hot off the press. But we're there, and I feel like I have a place for everything, so I'm calm now. So we're doing okay.
Good. So when you're not moving house, you are, of course, one of my lovely Clutter Fairies. Tell us a little bit about where you work and how long you've been with us.
So I'm South Manchester, so I'm sort of Sale, Cheadle, Altrincham, Timperley, Didsbury kind of area, and around there. And now how long have I been with you? That's a good challenge. At least are we 4 years now? I think.
I'd say so. I wonder whether it's like longer. I don't know, really.
It might be. It's basically after lockdown really has started to work, go this way. So
Time
I think,
flies.
time flies when you're having fun.
It does.
And before that, for a chunk before that, I was at home, so I've got 3 children. But before that, I was project managing. So in retail installations of sort of marketing counters and all the pretty bits. So
And I think that, I was talking to Claire about this before as well. I think, a lot of people ask the question about what does it take to become a professional organizer and ask about training and things like that. And of course, it's important to furnish yourself with information if you can. But really, the skill comes from what you've done before. So it is kind of, having 3 kids and running a family home, if that's important to you, or those project management skills that you've gathered along the way, or just life's experiences. And it's really about, we at the Clutter Fairy are very much into the emotional connection with the clients and the emotional connection to your stuff. And so everything kind of starts from there and the stuff follows, doesn't it, Bev?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Yeah, it's so important. It's so important to have those life skills. So I think it's something that you need to do once you've had a few of those. You need to be a little bit, well, I'm not going to say that we're old, but older,
a bit of
maybe,
experience
older.
under your belt, and that's exactly how I went into this career change. So I did a bit of soul searching and Googling about the skills I had and where they might work, rather than looking for a specific kind of place to start. So definitely pulls on all my core skills. And naturally at home, I quite like to tinker and potter, my natural personality. I think you need that too.
The Bev's a tinkerer and a potterer.
I like things to look nice.
Yeah. So apart from being part of our lovely team, and we have such a great time, don't we? Because we go out all the time and everything. We have such a laugh. We're all from different we're from different backgrounds. We're quite similar, really, but we all have different experiences. But we just have such a laugh. We just gel over our love of decluttering, don't we? We connect a couple of times a year, don't we? Because we're all over the Northwest, and so some of us are like 50, 60 miles apart, really. So but Christmas and our summer parties are always a lot of fun.
And a nice team job sometimes as well. We do like a bit of teamwork.
Yeah. It's just me that's not on those. I don't count those, Bev, because I'm not there. It's not fair.
We like those too.
You're all having fun without me. Right, okay. So, Bev, we gave you an advanced copy of Reset Your Home.
I was very lucky.
Read it. And tell us, what did you think?
I really liked it. It wasn't exactly how I'd expected it. It was not that I was expecting anything specific, but it was really focusing on all the thoughts and feelings and all that side of it, which is definitely the right way to look at your decluttering, in my point of view. So I loved it. Yeah.
Fantastic. And so which bits of it resonated most with you as a professional organizer?
So for me, it was all the parts where, because obviously you'll know this, but a lot of the time that we spend organising with people is more deep heart-to-heart kind of conversations that we have, which isn't what you would expect, I guess. But we really have to sort of connect with people. And so for me, it was the part that talks about sort of aspirational items and how they hold us back, and living with things that aren't representing our life now. So, for example, with the wardrobe chapter, with the bedroom, it was about making sure that you focus on what to keep and not what to throw away, and that it's all about your life that you're living now. And so you've got that wardrobe that fits you as you are right now, and not the you that you were before, or the you that you like to be, or all those things that might make you a bit sad as well, because you're not quite living up to those lifestyles. So for me, that was a real key thought process. Yeah,
I think you're so right there, Bev, because I think, because obviously, I started out my life doing exactly the same as you are, and going out with them, working with clients. And and that's why the Clutter Fairy, in our opinion, is quite special, because it is all about those conversations. And I think a lot of people really, when they think about a professional organizer, think about somebody to get rid of the stuff. And obviously that's the end goal. And it's the same with this book and everything we do within the Declutter Hub. The end goal is to let go of stuff and have less. Okay, fair enough. But it's getting to that point that's a difficult bit. We can all chuck stuff in a bin bag, you know what I mean? But how do you decide what's going to go into that bin bag? That's the important thing. And
I'm feeling okay with it afterwards, and not,
And whether that's the conversation with yourself or whether that's a conversation with a professional organizer, involves that soul searching, and somebody needs to present those ideas in front of you. And that's what we do as professional organizers. And because we have learned so much over the years about the types of things that resonate with different people, I was then able to put all that into the book, and you're able to put that into the conversations that you have with your clients and choose different strategies. So I'm really glad that that resonated with you, because that's really what the book is all about.
It's kind of the key, isn't it?
Yeah. So how do you think people can tackle this book, Bev? In one go or break it down?
Well, I actually read it in chapters because I was reading it around my house move, so I had to kind of fit that in. But I think it works really nicely to slow people down a bit. It's really easy to take it at a slow pace and digest each bit in its own right. And so you don't have to feel overwhelmed by a whole house or even a whole room. So I just like the way it was really relatable and just gentle, really, to guide you through that process. So yeah, it's really nice, supportive book, I think.
You know what? It's so interesting, Bev, when you say that, because that has been said quite a lot recently over the past couple of years to Ingrid and I, that we're gentle. And it just makes me laugh. Because people, and I suppose that we actually are, but gentle in a weird kind of way, really. Like gentle
Yeah,
would be the first thing that springs to mind, but I think our process is definitely gentle, and the empathy that we have for the people, for our readers, for our podcast listeners, and certainly for
yeah.
our clients is definitely gentle. So thank you so much, Bev, for being an incredible clutter fairy, as are all my clutter fairies. I'm so delighted to have such a wonderful team. Thank you for taking the time to read the book in your busy house moving schedule, and we will see you soon.
I'll see you soon.
So hello, Karina. It's so lovely to see you here on the podcast. Your first outing on the podcast, Karina. Is this your
Yeah,
first podcast?
it is actually my first podcast. So, yes, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. It's only a little snippet, but no doubt we'll get you back at some point to do something a little bit more extensive. So Karina's been with us not even a year, just coming up to a year,
Almost a
right, as
year.
a clutter
Yeah,
fairy. It feels like forever, right? Tell us a
yeah,
little bit about
that's
your
perfect.
life as a clutter fairy.
So, yeah, I've been with the Clutter Fairy for almost a year. It'll be a year next month. And I'm a professional organizer. I work in the Manchester area, and I absolutely love my job. I think it's my calling. I think it's the best job ever. I really love helping people, which is, I think, for me, the main kind of takeaway from the job. I just like helping people with their clutter, with their concerns, where they struggle. And every day is a different day. It's really varied and satisfying. So I really enjoy it.
And Karina's lovely and kind and calm and gentle. And a lot of people right across the world will be loving your lilting Scottish accent,
Oh,
Karina. So for
thank-
anybody who's like, oh, that's a little bit of a different accent. Yeah, Karina is from Scotland originally. So, but she's moved down to Manchester, right?
that's right. Yeah, so I'm from the Highlands of Scotland, but I've been in Manchester for 25 years. So I think my accent has mellowed slightly.
Oh, lovely. Beautiful, beautiful part of the country. So let's get down to business then. We're going to talk a little bit about the Reset Your Home book. And I must admit, I'm under a little bit of pressure because Karina's husband is a very accomplished author. So I was kind of like, oh, this is a bit scary sending it to an author's wife. But anyway, tell me, what did you think, Karina?
Don't be silly. I thought it was a fantastic book. I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. I thought it was brilliant. So much of it resonated with me. I was just saying to you before that I was looking at through it and copying and pasting so many parts of it I wanted to talk to you about. Obviously, your primary focus of understanding your habits and your emotions that can be tangled up with your belongings is such a fantastic starting point for this kind of journey. It really kind of allows you to start on the right foot and understand your habits before you even embark on your decluttering journey. So that I think is the main takeaway for me. But other parts of it really resonated. One part that I thought was fantastic, and it was the reminder to understand that decluttering isn't a one and done task. It's an ongoing process. I think I read somewhere that you can describe it as a journey, not a destination. So
Yeah.
it's something that you're continually doing. And I think having that perspective for my clients, for myself, even when I'm decluttering, it's really reassuring because you can make decisions and know that you can come back to those that are more difficult, those that you struggled on, and having that sort of second pass, that third pass, it builds your confidence and it's more satisfying, I think, too, because the decisions that you're making are more considered. And for me, I find decluttering quite addictive now. So my journey personally, the more I do, the more I want to do. And that confidence builds, that muscle, that decluttering muscle builds. And so for me, that idea of coming back over and over and over, and your life changing as well, different aspects of your life, different demands in your life, therefore have different demands on the stuff you have. So I think that was,
Yeah, definitely. I think we can be forgiven sometimes for thinking that we have to do it just all in one go. You know, people
yeah,
see before and afters and think that that's the way that it's done. Well, you and I both know, Karina, that it's not like that at all for many, many people, particularly those people that struggle more with clutter. For some people, it's fine and you can have the kind of messy room into the tidy room in one go. But for most people, it's more of a struggle. And as you say, just allowing yourself the opportunity to think, I'm not ready to make that decision yet. I'm going to park
yeah,
that. You know, we there's a big phrase that we use. Most people said, if in doubt, throw it out. Where if in doubt, don't throw it out, because we want everybody to make the decisions that feel right for them at the time. Because if you don't do that, then you start to second guess yourself, you start to have
yeah,
regrets. And so
yeah.
it's important to only make decisions about the things that you're comfortable with. Having said that, you do need to push yourself slightly out of your comfort zone. Otherwise, sometimes you might not make any decisions to let go. So it's finding that balance and knowing, as you say, that you can go back to the second passes.
I've even had it in sessions with clients. They've made a decision on something and said, "No, yeah, I'll keep that. I'll keep that." And then within the same session, they've come back to that pile and thought, "Actually, I don't need that." And it's just with the get like with like gathering, having it all together, seeing what you've got, and that really helps you make your decision and building your muscle. So it's about that consistency as well.
Yeah, because
Mm.
it's hard to just go in strong and make a decision right off
Yeah,
the bat. You need to, as you say, it's a process. You need to gather the information that you need to be able to make that decision together. And that takes longer than just looking at one item that just comes your way and going, do I want it or do I not want it? You need to see the full picture. So really, really important. So, you know, that is definitely a thread that goes through the book. You know, we talk about it right at the beginning of the book. We return to it at the end of the book because it's so important, I think, because of the narrative that is out there for a lot of people. And that's what we wanted to kind of debunk really a little bit in this book and say, you don't need to do it all at once. You don't need to do it fast and furious. Take your time, break it down. And that way you're going to have a more successful decluttering journey long term
yeah.
and hopefully change your mindset alongside that. So I'm really glad that you picked that bit out, Karina. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being a wonderful clutter fairy as always and part of our wonderful team. I've spoken to the other girls as well about our iconic nights out, and we've got another one in a couple of weeks where we're all getting together. So that will be exciting. So thank you so much, Karina, for being on the podcast today.
Very welcome. Thank
And we will
you.
see you soon.
See you soon.
So hello, Karen, my lovely clutter fairy in her gorgeous brand new dressing room. Look how gorgeous. Anybody that's watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see Karen has got the dressing room beyond dressing room, which you've waited how long for, Karen?
I've been saving up, yes, about
Yeah.
2 years.
No, she's like, this is what I'm spending my money on. It's absolutely gorgeous. And we were all, massively jealous. It's absolutely beautiful. We can see a small part of it. So, Karen, you are one of the Clutter Fairy team. How long have you been with us?
I've been with you now for 5 years, nearly 6.
So that
So
means you must be enjoying it, right?
I am, yeah. I love the job.
Yeah. What's your favorite part of the job then, Karen?
The people.
Yeah.
It's always the people. It's always the stories that you're privileged to hear from them. That's my favorite bit.
I
And
know. I think.
I do love to get the room sorted.
All right. Yeah. You are a doer as well, but
Yeah.
you got to spend your time like flitting between doing the doing and doing the chatting. And honestly, I could have spent all most of my time chatting, but I did get round to doing the doing as well at certain points. But yeah, no, we're really privileged to be able to work with so many different people from so many walks of life, and we get to hear about different jobs and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, absolutely love that part of the job. So you've been out there working today, doing a playroom, I believe.
I have, yes. It was a house move. Lovely to see the family again. And we unpacked all the boxes today that were left in the playroom. So the children have got all the Legos sorted. It's all in drawers. All the PlayStation set up. It's all good to go.
My least favorite room in the entire decluttering process. I absolutely loathe with a passion doing playrooms. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Reset Your Home, our brand new book, and you and the other girls had an advanced copy. So Karen, tell us, what did you think?
I loved it. I loved the jargon busters, Lesley. You
Did
made me
you?
chuckle about
Yeah.
it, about the sherry schooners. That made
Yeah.
me chuckle because we find all sorts, don't we?
Yeah,
It's
we do.
never a dull moment. You don't know what you're going to find. And again, what you're going to unearth, during the decluttering process.
Absolutely. So I think the jargon busters, just to explain, is kind of because there is a little bit of jargon related to the decluttering journey. We try to kind of debunk those a little bit, and but in that we just kind of go, this is what that actually means, just so that it's a little bit easier for you to navigate your way through the book. Yeah. So you'll find jargon busters dotted around.
And also revisiting. It's like the client I've been to today, we've done like what I like to call wave one today, and we'll revisit the room again next month. And, you've highlighted that it's not always a quick fix. And of course, all our clients are individual, aren't they?
I think it's fair to say, Karen, that part of it has really resonated with everybody. And I think, particularly as professionals, sometimes if people get a professional organizer in, you would think that it would be done in one go. If you were doing it for yourself, you might think it would take a little bit longer. But if you pay somebody to come in and help you, you might think you've got this big transformation overnight. But even with a professional on board, we would urge the client then to take their time and only make decisions when it feels right for them. So I think that's kind of an important part, and it's certainly something that a lot of people have picked up on about the book, which is a good thing, right? Because I think that's one of our key messages is just take your time with that. So I know there was another bit of the book that you really liked as well, Karen. Do you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, it's about not keeping things for best.
Right.
About living your life and using what you've got. And a lovely lady, she'd lived in her house. I had the privilege to go and see her. Her family had owned the house since the 1930s. So loads of history from different generations, but she'd not had a family. She'd lived there with her husband. So sadly, he passed away. So I went to help her get ready for the next chapter. So she was going to downsize and leave the family home. So we were in the cupboards in one of the rooms, and it became apparent there were things that her and her husband had brought together. So this box came out, and in it were these beautiful crystal glasses. And the story came that she'd been with her husband and they brought them together, and they'd had such a lovely holiday. And she had lots of happy memories with him with those glasses, but they'd never been used. So I said to her, I think we'll put them in your new section for when you move. And we'd taken them out. She wanted to keep them, and she's going to enjoy them when she moves. But I think sometimes people, they put things away thinking they're too precious to be used, and that's not the case.
I know, exactly. I think it's such an important message really to use these things, whether it's a face cream that you think's a little bit fancy for every day, or whether it's a glasses set or a set of crockery that you've inherited. Better to use that stuff than just to leave it in a cupboard. And you run the risk, of course you do, of breaking something, but better to have, if you've got a set of 6 glasses, better to be left with 4 at the end of it and to have had good use for all of them. It's so important. And it's a real light bulb, Karen, for a lot of people as well, whether that's us telling them when they're clients or whether that's people that we work with in the Declutter Hub. It's like, oh yeah, what am I doing that for? And so it's simple, but it's effective, right?
It is. And also they were handmade. And I
Right.
think that made her tentative about it and thinking, can't use them. They're too precious, and they were beautiful. They weren't of the mill glasses. They were beautiful. Yeah.
And that's what decluttering is all about. It's all about finding the gems and amongst the other stuff, really. It's about uncovering things like that, whether it's that or finding things that you had lost or whatever. That's what it's all about. It's about wiping the slate clean a little bit to allow you to enjoy the things that are really going to bring you joy. And so I think that's what's it. And again, that's the message, hopefully, that shines bright in the book. So yeah, and we honestly, Karen, couldn't we tell like 100 stories every single day from clients that are so special? And as we said right at the beginning, you know, we're very privileged as well to work with people telling us these stories. We're lucky, really. But there are so many things, and it's just being able to, as we say, move people forwards with their decluttering that makes things so special. So thank you so much, Karen, for being on the podcast and sharing your wonderful client story, and for reading the book. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's always a lot of pressure when you put it out there amongst your peers, amongst your colleagues, to see what they're going to say about it. So thank you so much, Karen, for being on the podcast, and we'll see you soon.
Lovely. Thank you, Lesley.
Well, hello. This is the lovely Lucy, one of my clutter fairies here. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So, Lucy, give us the scoop. Tell me a little bit about your career as a clutter fairy.
So I have been a member of the Clutter Fairy for the last 3 years, sidestepped into it through nannying, and ever since I've been on the team, I've covered Manchester, Cheshire, Merseyside, Lancashire, anywhere you will send me, I will go.
Basically, Lucy's our traveller, so she just goes everywhere. So your nanny, the skills that you had as a nanny, really, you know, you still do some nannying now, but you do a little bit more clutter fairy stuff now, and so it really gave you the skills that you need for a clutter fairy, and so you're absolutely brilliant with playrooms and families and stuff like that as well. Is that your favourite part of the job then, families, or do you like anything?
I think it's hard to answer because there's so much variety in any house that you go to. It all kind of, oh, right, okay, I'm losing myself here.
Sorry.
There's so many different perks of the job, and any house you go to, no 2 days are the same. So playrooms and things are nice, but also going into a loft, going into a garage, going into a garden shed, you couldn't uncover all sorts. You're coming across people's memories, and it's really nice. There's so much variety with it.
I know, it's all about the people, really, isn't it, Lucy? It's all about the memories of the things that are there. Even a garden shed and things like that still got stuff in it, right, that brings memories and difficulties in letting go. So no, it's a real privilege. It's a real privilege, and we're so lucky to be able to have such diversity, really, in terms of the types of people and the type of stuff that we come across. So you've read the Reset Your Home book, and so what did you think of it?
Really, really good. Informative, personal. I feel like anyone could read it and relate to it. It's, yeah, I highly recommend it. If I'm allowed to.
I could say I'm not paying you to say that, but I kind of am. In a roundabout way, but no, yeah. I'm joking.
But yeah, no, there's a lot of, and it just covers all the different, like you said, the different clutter personalities. I don't think anyone would read it and think they wouldn't see themselves in there. Even me, as obviously, hopefully a really organised person, there's still things in there that I can learn, that other people can learn. You can be a really organised person, but things can slip, things do change, your life changes. It's important that you know the methods to go forward with it that's going to work best for you and your household.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's definitely written in terms of it can be for somebody that's got a little bit of clutter, and it can be for somebody that feels completely overwhelmed with clutter. There's definitely things to learn in there for everybody, because ultimately it's mostly based around the emotional side of things. And so, we're complex people, right, with lots and lots of different types of emotions. So what specific part of the book resonated with you most, Lucy?
So for me, it was probably number one would be the tackling transitions section. Similar to what I've just said, as someone who, like, I lived in the same house for 15 years and then moved house so many times in such a short space of time. And for me, it really brought home, you can't take your whole life with you. Your life changes in any way, shape or form. Your house can get bigger, your house can get smaller. As long as you're working in a way that works for your household, it really resonated with me. Bear with me 1 sec while I read my notes. I'm just trying to think what I've got here. Yeah, and about going on to the next chapter of your life. Fair enough, the clothes that you wore when you were a size 8 were lovely, and you might keep them thinking, I might fit into them in 5 years' time, but in 5 years' time, is the style the same? are you still going to enjoy wearing them? Are you going to be wearing them thinking, oh, I've had these for like 15 years and they're a bit slack, whatever it might be. So I think it's really good to look at like the now of your life and just go with what works for you at that moment, not what has worked for you or what might work in a future that you actually don't know the answers to yet.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's so important to live for the now. And obviously there are always going to be little bits and pieces that we keep from our past and for the future, but it's really important to focus on the now and to create space for the now. And I think so many of us get stuck in the kind of past and future. And I think that's definitely a message that comes throughout the book. Now, I know you loved the section on sentimental items as well. So what was it that resonated most with you about that?
I think as someone who has lost family members and you suddenly are then in charge of their things, I think we all have this thing of going, oh, well, they really liked it, so I should keep it, but can I keep all of these things that a family member had for all of these years that actually realistically were in a box in their cupboard that they weren't enjoying? I don't think we necessarily need to see everything of someone's belongings as sentimental, and like you say, it's quality over quantity. And as a result of me following that ethos, the sentimental things that I have are like, they're in my house, they're on shelves, they're by my bedside table. There's all of these different ways that you can enjoy them without them just being sat in a box up in your loft that you only ever see when you have a loft clear out or you get your Christmas decks out. So I think being specific with what means a lot to you makes such a difference. And also I see clients who they will keep pieces of artwork from their child's school, but they don't know which child it is, and they're just keeping it because it's just something that a family member has done once, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's sentimental. And if you were to show it to any of the kids, they wouldn't be that fussed about it either.
I know it's nice to be able to, and the thing about the sentimental chapter, which I know is one of many people that we've spoken to's favorite chapter, because it's very, very in depth, and we go into all of the different types of sentimental items that you might have and the different emotions relating to those things. And they're all very different. Child's artwork is very different to, you were talking about a late parent's stuff. It's a very different type of emotion that we feel, and we have to tackle it in a different way. And I think to go down to that granular level in the book is what people have really been appreciating. So I'm glad that you picked up on that as well, Lucy, as a fellow professional organizer. So thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast today. Thank you so much for being a wonderful clutter fairy, as always. We're off out in a couple of weeks for another one of our socials, which we always love. So thank you so much, Lucy, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Well, listeners, I'm so excited because it's finally my turn. You've heard all of Lesley's team now, and it's finally my turn to introduce my lovely, lovely team members, Katherine and Judith, to you. And we're starting off with Katherine. So thank you, Katherine, for being on the show. It's so lovely to have you here. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been my lovely? It's every time it's longer than I think it is, right? Because everything, it's been a couple of years, and you're like, no, it's been. How long have you been working for me?
Since I looked it up earlier today, it's May 2017. So coming up for 8-year anniversary that I've been working for you. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So how came that about, Katherine? Because it was kind of almost like faith, wasn't it, really?
It was. My youngest son was getting ready to leave primary school, so I was looking for something to do. Didn't want to go back up to commuting into London. We have a mutual friend who, and she knew that you were looking for maybe some help, that your business was busy, and she put us in touch with each other. We met, and I think having a coffee in Grocers in Welling, and then off we met, and I worked with you a few times, and then off I went on my own, and the rest is history. 8 years later.
I can't believe, honestly, that it's been 8 years. If you would have said to me like 5 or 6, I would have believed it as well. But I think, it's just flown by, and it's just so lovely, isn't it? And I think for me, what was really handy, because I was growing my business, but I couldn't say, well, I'm going to take like a full-time person on board, because I didn't know how the work was going to go, and you were not looking for something full-time either. So I think at the time it really, really worked well for both of us. You kind of wanted to have every once in a while doing a little job, and I kind of was like, every once in a while need an extra pair of hands. So it kind of was like the perfect match, wasn't it?
It was. It has worked really well. As you say, I didn't want to commit to definitely not full time. Yeah, the way it's worked, it's been very, very good. And obviously lovely when we can work together as well.
Yeah,
so that's
definitely.
great.
Definitely. And of course, now you actually have another part-time job, so you work less for me than you did before, but also because that kind of then, because Judith came to work for me, so it's actually really kind of worked out for all of us, hasn't it?
It has. Yes, it has. And my part-time job now is only 2 days a week, but they are thankfully very flexible as well. So I can always switch around my days with them when it suits us, when we need to work together, or with me and Judith, or on my own. So,
yeah, exactly. So what is your favorite room to declutter when you're working with clients?
I think probably children's rooms. I really enjoy having, or have my own children. They're 18 and 20, so very grown up now, but having gone through the toys, the board games, the figures, the cars, I think I like to do children's rooms, children's clothes, children's toys, setting up systems. That, not too complicated, that children can manage. Children can tidy up after themselves, can't they? So with the right encouragement.
So come clean then, Katherine, because you're now sitting, of course, in a very nice and tidy room with little beautiful flowers behind you. Are you a very tidy person, or are you just somebody who really loves kind of working in other people's houses?
I love working in other people's houses. I absolutely do. But anyone who knows me will know I'm tidy. But I'm just forever. I live with 3 other people who are not so tidy, so I am picking up after them. I teach them to pick up after themselves, but no one does it as well as me. So I am tidy, but it's just habits. It's what you wash up every night, you empty the dishwasher every morning, you do washing every day, you make your bed every morning. It's just the habit. I try and keep my dining table clear, my island clear, my hall clear. I am. There's no denying it. I am a tidy person.
Yeah. And and the lucky thing is you always also love helping other people as well.
Yes.
To kind of get to that habit stage, isn't it? I think. Yes. Because we know the maintenance it takes, right? Once there's a lot of clutter, it's very tricky to have these habits. But when the clutter goes down a little bit, you can start to put those habits in place, and then you really see it helping long term, right?
Yes, because there's no point in going in, decluttering, tidying, and then leaving the house and saying, that's it, you're all done. You need to try and help them learn the benefits of having the good habits, of the reset, of the make your bed every day, do your dishes every morning, and every little helps. And then you're just tidying up for minutes at a time. You're not doing massive declutters every day.
Yeah. Lovely. Now, you've known me for a very long time. You've actually, I think you've already said to me ages ago, so when are you and Lesley going to write a book? And we were like, it's on the list. We are finally there. You, of course, have been lucky enough to read before it originally is really coming out, because we're getting really close to publication date now. So overall, what did you think about our book?
I love it. I love your book, but I love it's gentle and kind. It's there's a process that you go through. It makes sense. We start in an easy room, we start in the kitchen, decluttering muscle develops and it gets stronger, and we work through the process, and we end up doing sentimentals and photographs. But there's no right or wrong way. Everyone is different. You're not telling everyone to throw everything away. It's all about the emotions attached to the things, the stuff. There, you know, it's different for everyone, and everyone will find their way. But your book just guides you gently and kindly through that process. That's what I love.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that makes it really different from other decluttering books, and I think hopefully why it will resonate with so many people, because I think most people would agree that actually putting something in a bin bag, you know, you get a bin bag and you can put something in. But why is it so hard to do, right? Why do so many people struggle with this? And what do you need to know to move forward and help yourself with that process? And so I really appreciate that. And I think, of course, you know, kindness is everything for us, and which is so important. So I really appreciate, you know, you mentioning that, because we really wanted that to come across in our in the book that that we've written. Anything else stand out from the book, Katherine?
Lots, but I mean, there's some of the things that you say. I think you say it on your podcast as well. Like, if in doubt, don't throw it out. I mean, it's just to us that's obvious, but for some people would say quite the opposite, and which it breaks my heart, because, you know, if there's any doubt, what, I don't know whether to keep this mug or this shirt, but then so you keep it. If you're in doubt, then you must keep it till you're ready to make a decision. So that's, I like that. But taking the before and after pictures as well. I mean, I do that a lot in the jobs, you know, the clients that I help, and I think you do too. But, and not that you have to show anyone, but just for yourself, and show your friends and your family if you want to. Show, you know, say, look what I've done. But you don't have to show anyone. But then you can also refer back to them when you're feeling, oh, I haven't achieved so much. Yes, you have. Just look at these pictures. Look at the before. Look at the after. Look how much you have achieved. So that, you know, it's just a simple thing, but that's what your book mentions. I mean, and comes back to. I think in probably each section you say, right now you're reminding us, take the picture, take the after, take the before. So that's lovely. Really like that. Simple but such a clever idea.
Good. Well, I'm really glad. Anything else that you're like, yes, that's what I want to share, because this is your opportunity. Anything else you've got?
Don't know, putting me on the spot now. What did I mean, I just love it all. I love that the book's in plain English, and I love that, you know, I'm not stopping to look up complicated words. Even the wardrobe decluttering, when you actually say take everything out of the wardrobe, we do that with people, and I know it works, but I'm not sure people understand why it works, because they just look, they like, oh no, I know I've done that recently, I want all that, I know I want to keep it. And I would say, well, let's just get it out and we'll have a look, and what you then got to make the decision to put it back, haven't you? You've got to, it's got to earn its place. And that's what people don't realize that as well. And that is such a simple thing, and it's so, take it out first, look at each individual item, put it back. So I love that.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Katherine. Thank you for your lovely comments and your lovely feedback. Of course, you know, I'm really happy that my team, you know, loved the book, because otherwise I would be in trouble, obviously. But no, I really appreciate that. And thank you for reading it. Thank you for giving your honest opinion about it. And thank you for continuing to being such a lovely member of the Organise Your House team. So which area do you cover, Katherine?
Well, I live in Sidcup, which is southeast London or northwest Kent. So anywhere sort of an hour's drive away from me, I'm happy to go to. But also up in London, I fortunately live very near the station. I can get the train into central London with like no trouble at all. So that's my patch.
Yeah. Lovely. Well, I hope you and I will stay together for a very long time coming. And thank you so much for being on the show. And next up is Judith. So coming soon. Well, now it's a turn for my other lovely team member, Judith, to tell you about how it is to be an Organize Your House team member and what her thoughts were about the book. So we've just heard from Katherine. Now it's your turn, Judith. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you so much for being here. So how long have you been part of the Organize Your House team?
I think it's coming up for 6 years now. I've been part of the team.
Which I can't believe either. I mean, Katherine literally just said to me, I've been with you for 8 years. And I went, oh my gosh, if you would have said 5 or 6 years, I would have believed it as well. So, but it makes sense, doesn't it? I think COVID has kind of, the time that we were off, it kind of all messed up a little bit without our timelines. But yeah, 6 years sounds about right.
Yeah.
So where do you work and kind of cover for the team?
Well, anywhere from sort of south of London down through Kent.
Yeah.
Let's go through to the countryside sometimes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And you love to drive as well, right? You're like super flexible. You love driving around, going everywhere. You really enjoy visiting lots of different clients, right?
Yes. I mean, variety is the spice of life. They're all different.
Exactly. So have you always been a professional organizer, Judith, or how did it come about that you started working for me?
Well, I used to have an interior design business. I'm an interior designer. And when my mother became elderly, I had to downsize her twice.
Yeah.
I rather enjoyed the whole process. And we had fun doing it. And I thought maybe I could help older people downsize, you know, with a bit of empathy and compassion.
Yeah.
That's how it started, really.
Yeah. And then you basically rang me one day and said, hi, Ingrid, I'm Judith, and I'm going to work for you.
Well, not quite.
But we got together, we had a lovely chat, we had a coffee, and we were like, well, this is like brilliant, wasn't it? Because you were like, I want to work, but I don't want to work like 5 days a week all the time. But I do want to kind of, I love helping people with their decluttering, their downsizing. And you've been helping friends and indeed your mom at the time as well. So you really kind of, you knew what you got into, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I really wanted to help people. And I think when I've had a job that was rather superficial, you know, helping people who've got money, it's quite nice to do something where you're helping people mentally, really, apart from anything else.
For sure. So are there rooms in the house that you really enjoy doing that you're like, yeah, really, that's like my favorite thing to do? Or are you like, basically like everything?
Yes, I like the variety. I mean, I've done cellars and lofts and outhouses and clothing. I don't mind any of those. I prefer that to doing children's rooms, to be honest.
Yeah, which makes me laugh so much because Katherine was just on and she's like, that's her favorite thing to do. And she said to me off microphone later, Judith's going to tell you that that's her least favorite thing to do. And I think that's why you make such a good team as well, right?
We work well together, actually. Yes, we do. Yes.
Yeah. Because you, the two of you, love working together, and you especially work together a lot when you're doing unpacks, right? So we don't pack for house moves, but we do regularly get phone calls of people saying, right, I've moved house. Now I'm looking at 50, 80, 120 boxes, and where do I start? And then I'm like, right, I'm going to send my team in. And you girls love that, don't you?
Yes, we like working together, actually. It's really good fun. You know, we each have our strengths.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think so too. So the book is now here. Katherine said way back when already to me, you know, Ingrid, when are you and Lesley going to write a book? We finally did it. I had the opportunity to send it to you both so you can have a read through. What do you think?
Yes, I think it's a very good tool for people who are starting out with the idea to declutter and reorganize. I think very good things that they can, you know, use. It's a good tool, I think, you know, and some good ideas, you know, and I think you could take it room by room, which it was good. And that's how it's, you know, it's presented.
Yeah, good. Is there anything for you that stood out that you thought, oh, I really like that?
Well, I like the fact, I think I said to you that done is better than perfect. So you declutter, but it can't always be perfect. It's not the perfect solution, but once you've decluttered and organized as best you can, you say, right, I've done that, and you can go back to it at a later date. So that's, and do some more,
Yeah. And I think that's really important. I think our message really is, when you declutter your home, you don't have to stick in the same room until it's 100% perfect, because things happen along the way. You're better off getting most of it, kind of where you want it, and then go, you know what, I'm going to move on to the next thing, because decluttering is not a project. It's a process. You're never done decluttering, you will always have to.
Yeah, always starting again. I mean, people say your house must be perfect. And I said, no, it's not. There are always places, like the bureau, like one particular, the drawer of doom, should we say. And you have to go back to it every couple of months and keep going. Keep going.
Exactly.
I mean, unfortunately, in this day and age, we overbuy products and don't get rid of the ones we don't like. Sometimes it's better not to hang on to something you don't like the smell of, or the same thing with bathroom products. We all come away from hotels with the freebies, or the airline stuff. Do you want it really? The samples, it's all there. You're taking up space in the bathroom. None of us have that much space in the bathroom, unless we're very lucky.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely true. And well, I'm really glad, that you're saying all these things, because of course that's all what we talk about in the book as well. Just to use up some of this stuff. I mean, if you don't like it, donate it, put it on a giveaway site, or if there's a tiny little bit left in one of the bottles, just use it up, clear that space. And we talk about all of that as well. So the book is mainly, it's on one hand, the emotions that sit behind the clutter, and on the other hand, the practical tips, exactly like this. Think about what you're buying. Think about where you're going to store it. Do you want to take away those samples from the hotel, or can you just leave them behind so you don't have to kind of find a place for it when you come back?
Or put it in a basket beside the bath and use them up, bubble bath or shower gel, or just use them.
Yeah, exactly.
Feel like you can't leave them behind, use them.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's the carrier bag thing as well. I tell everybody to cull their carrier bags. Seen whole cupboards full of carrier bags.
Yeah. I know. Well, thank you, Judith. I really appreciate your comments about the book, and I'm glad you liked it. You've not seen the hard copy yet, but it's just behind me here. And the official publication date is tomorrow, Thursday, the 27th of February. We are super excited. We hope that you are enjoying Ingrid and Lesley week here on the podcast. And yeah, we've never had our teams on. Of course, Lesley has a very, very big team. I've got my two lovely ladies that help me here in Southeast London. And we absolutely, love still being able to really do on the ground decluttering, while of course Lesley and I work so much online in the Declutter Hub, but now having the opportunity to share our shared compassion about decluttering and organizing in this book is absolutely amazing. So pre-order today, real publication date tomorrow. If you want to know more about actually working with a professional organizer, if you're like, yes, I'm going to get this book, I'm going to read up, but I also need some help actually in my house. If you're in Manchester, check out Lesley. If you're in the northwest of England, check out Lesley on clutterferry.co.uk. If you are in Southeast London, definitely go to organiseyourhouse.co.uk. We'll put all of those links in the show notes so you can find them. Thank you to all of our wonderful team members, also to Lesley's team and to my team for being here on the show and sharing their thoughts about our book that we are so super proud of. So thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow for a podcast, 10 Things You Did Not Know About Ingrid and Lesley. See you soon.
Thanks so much for listening to the Declutter Hub podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to us in your podcast player so you don't miss an episode, and we'll see you next week.